Hello all, welcome to NetBook and welcome back to Mulesoft tutorial. In my previous video, I explained about DataWeave overview, the translation part, the transformation part. First of all, how we can do the transformations, and we are going to work on some of the examples over here. So to start with that, I'm going to talk about transformations. As part of this, I have to take some of the examples and explain over here. We know the transformation. The transformation is something I have a JSON data which I need to convert into XML. Similarly, I have a XML data I need to convert into JSON, such kind of a thing. I'm going to show today JSON to XML how we can convert, and I'm going to show XML to JSON how we can convert. Then I will take another example, CSV file to JSON data, how we can convert, and then I can take JSON to CSV, and then I'm going to talk about maybe CSV to plain text, CSV to text format. So these are the different examples which I'm going to show today. As well as maybe I can show one more, how we can convert from JSON to Java object. These are the things we are going to discuss today. To start with that, what I'm going to do, I have created in my previous video this DataWeave sample. Let me open that, and I'm going to open over here and say that I'm going to have one file, right click, new, mule configuration file, DataWeave transformation. That is the name I have given. Click on finish. So the first example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the data from the JSON to XML. So I have something already, some data over here, sample data, which is order details. In my HTTP listener, I'm going to in my HTTP listener, I'm going to receive this JSON data, which I need to convert into XML. That is what my requirement right now. To receive this request in HTTP listener, I'm going to have HTTP listener in my flow, and I'm going to configure over here. So I need to create this connector configuration. I'm going to click on this connector configuration, giving the default details. Click on OK. So the first example is I want to convert from JSON to XML. So I'm going to give a path as /JSON to XML. That is what I'm giving over here. And you can change the flow name also to make sure to understand. So this is JSON to XML flow. That is the name I just gave. But it doesn't require, but it is normally not required to change also, but to meaningful, I kept it this name. Now we know that for the transformation, we use transform message component. I'm dragging dropping over here in my flow. It is very simple. With the one line of a code change, you can convert your JSON data to XML. How? As I mentioned already in this component, this is header part, this is the body part, right? So in the body, what I need to do? I need to have these order details, right? So for XML, root tag is mandatory. So I'm going to give order details as my root tag name. And what value I need to assign? This order details, whatever the data it is coming, that data I need to assign. So when it is going to come from HTTP listener, where exactly this data is going to store? It is going to store it in a payload, right? So I'm going to assign the data to the payload. Now, this is going to be the body part. Now, what format I need to have? I need to have a XML format. By default, it is going to have a JSON data over here, application/JSON. Sorry, by default, it is going to have application/Java. So this is going to convert into Java, but my requirement is to convert into XML. So what are the different supported data formats here in DataWeave? If you go and see here, the DataWeave is going to support, these are the different types of S1 data formats. This is Avro, CSV, DataWeave, flat file, Java, JSON. This is streaming object, XSL, XML, Node.json and form data. This is URL encoded. This is ML, form data, text, and Java properties. These are the different types of data formats which will be supported in the Mulesoft DataWeave. So now, if I want to convert the data to XML, I need to copy this application/XML and put it over here. That's it. You don't have to write so much of coding. If you want to start data transformation, you can do just what format data required it is. That format you can convert. And for XML, root tag is mandatory. That's why I just gave that root tag over here. Let me test it this example. Right click, run. While it is deploying, I will make it ready my postman to test this application. So my path is this one. The path is this one. Now in the postman, I'm going to enter HTTP colon localhost colon 8081 slash JSON to XML. And this is going to be the first method. I need to pass a JSON data as an input and I should expect the XML as output. So this is the request object which I want to pass it as a JSON request over here. Let's see. Once it is deployed, I will test it this. Still it is getting deployed. It is deployed now. Now clear the log. I'm going to submit the request now. See that? I just passed JSON request and I got XML output over here. Order details is my root tag and this is the response I got it. I'm not doing any field to field mapping as of now. I'm directly mapping the direct element to show as a basic now. So with this one element, it is converted into XML and what data needs to be converted, that is what I mentioned in the body part. That is simple, right? So let's see how we can do the second example, that is XML to JSON. It is going to be the simple. Again, I'm going to have a similar flow. That is, I'm going to keep it over here and the flow name, I'm going to change it to XML to JSON flow. And then in listener path, I'm going to change it to, it is XML to JSON. Now what I need to do? I need to transform the XML is going to receive over here in the HTTP listener. I need to transform into JSON. So take it over here now. I can change it over here slash JSON and simple it is payload. That's it. You don't have to do anything. For the JSON, you don't need any root tags. So I just kept it as a payload over here. So let it publish. We can test it this one. Meanwhile, I will prepare a request for this. I will have a clone over here, duplicate tab, and I will change it this XML to JSON. And in the input body, it is going to be the XML is the request. So I'm going to put it that XML, whatever generated in my previous example. I'm taking that as an example over here. I'm passing this XML as an input. I should expect JSON as output. So it is deployed now. Let me test send a request. Now we can see this is converted into the JSON. That simple it is. So the main thing over here is it is the output what it is producing. Clear? Hope it is clear now. Now I'm going to explain about CSV file to JSON. So what I'm going to have, I have one sample file over here, the customer CSV file. I'm just going to open it and see here. This is having the first name, last name, address line 1, city, state, and zip code. So this is my input CSV file, which is I have in my one of the file location. Okay, I just have it over here. Let me copy that file. So this is going to receive as my input request, but I need to convert into JSON. Okay, this is going to be different than previous one. So let's see. I'm going to have HTTP listener again over here, and the path I'm going to say CSV to JSON, and the flow name also I'm going to change it over here, CSV to JSON. Now what I need to do, I need to use a transform message over here in my flow. Now what I can do, I can convert into JSON over here and I can say payload. But will it work now? Let's see. Will it work or not? Now this listener should accept my file, this one, as a CSV. But can I pass it that CSV in my request from the postman? No, you can't do that. Let's see. I just cloned it and CSV to JSON. And from the body, you can see that I can't pass CSV as an input over here. But what I can do now, you can select a text over here, okay? And I can pass this as my input over here. Now, when you are going to pass it in the headers, you can pass it content type as, this is content type as application slash CSV. Application slash, I think you should able to drag it and see. No, I can't see that. Okay, let me go to another view. You can see application slash. Okay, this is what I'm going to pass as a input now. Okay, so let's see what will happen right now when I pass it this way. I send a request. Now you can see the data is converted into the JSON format over here. I can bring it back over here. Okay, so as you are passing input here in the plain text, but in a headers you are telling that application slash CSV. That's why your program is understood that you are passing input as CSV file. But if I don't pass it over here, application slash CSV, what will happen? You can see. You can see that it is coming in this way. Is this correct? No, it's not correct. But can I handle this one in the inside Mulesoft? Yes, you can do that. What you can do, you can select over here. You don't need to select even here in the HTTP listener. There is a mem type. You can select as application slash CSV. Okay, that is what you can do. You don't need even this. With that, what will happen is it will understand whatever the data it is coming, that is CSV file. So I'm not passing this content type, but I'm still passing as input as a plain text over here. You can see now when I send a request, now you can see it is able to convert the data properly. That means using this HTTP listener, if it is specific data format it is coming, you can configure that. That is clear, right? So let me explain about the next flow, that is JSON to CSV. Now, this is going to be something interesting. I will show differently now. So I'm going to have one more HTTP listener over here, and I'm going to say JSON to CSV. Now I need to convert this data into CSV file format. How I can do that? You can pass it CSV. Does it convert directly? Payload. I just gave like this. Let's see. Wait now, and I will prepare another request over here by making one more request over here. That is JSON to CSV, and I need to pass a JSON request over here, Control A, Control C, and in the body, I'm going to pass this JSON data as a input. Let me see it is deployed or not. Yes, it is deployed. I'm going to send a request. See this, is it converted or not? Yes, it is converted. If I go to this, you can see this is application slash CSV, and you can see in the body it is coming. But if we have some complex type, you can do one thing. You can simply over here, you can add those formats over here. You can define a metadata over here, add output CSV. You can give any name over here, create a type, and from the drop down, you can select a CSV file over here, and you can browse that file by example over here. So in my local, I have some location over here. I'm selecting that file location. Okay. And this is my CSV. Okay. So now click on OK. This is what my CSV file having. Click on. As soon as you do that, it will load output format data over here. You can see it is going to have array of the rows, first name, last name, address line 1, 2, 8, and even you can upload the JSON file also. So let me show that define input JSON. create any name with the name, and you can select JSON over here, and I say that example, and this file should be, I should have some file over here. Let me copy this data. I need to create that file over here somewhere. Let me save it. I can say that customer.json. This is JSON file. I'm going to store it into my desktop. Now I'm going to load that file. Let me copy desktop, select that file. Now these are the request parameters it is having, and you can do this over here. In the input also it is going to load now. Now you can drag and drop these elements, okay? And over here, last name to last name, address line 1 to 1, city to city. So this is what visualizer. You can use a drag and drop mechanism to generate this code also. This is interesting, right? But for that, you should know the input format, the data sample data you should have, the output format sample data you should have. That is what I have done it now. It is generated automatically this code now. Let me save it. It will work as it is. There is no change at all. And over here you can see this is CSV and already generated. And let me test it now that it is working as expected. That simple it is now to converting the data from JSON to CSV. Here till now. Now I want to convert the data from CSV to text format. Let me try. So I'm going to take, I think, let me change the flow name also. This is JSON to CSV flow. Save it. I'm going to have another flow now. That is some CSV to text. I can change the flow name also. That CSV to. Now I can use a transform message component over here, and I can say here you can copy paste from here if you don't know the exact word framing over here. This is text slash main to write payload. This is going to be the application as CSV. Okay. Your payload is application slash CSV. It is file format, and you are writing into the plain text. That is what I'm trying to do over here. Let's save it and do that now. Let's test it now. We can see it is converted into plain text, and over here in the header you can see it is a plain text over here, text slash plain. So this is different comparatively to other thing. It is write function. This is a function provided by the Mulesoft. We will talk about those functions and all in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, I'm not going to talk about more on the functions. Now, I'm going to explain the last flow. That is, we are going to convert the data from JSON to Java object. So let me split this JSON to Java. This is my path, and I can change the flow name also. The flow name is JSON to Java flow. So I can use a transform message over here, and I can simply say payload. This is simple normally because of as it is going to convert into Java object. Let me deploy it and test it. I'm going to take maybe the first example somewhere which we have tested. Let me go to the history and take it this request. And if you see this request in the body, I'm going to send this JSON. So this is JSON to Java as my path. Let me send a request. Now you can see the data, which is Java object linked hash map. That is a Java object. If I go to the headers, you can see this is application slash Java. This data you can't see properly because of it is object format. It is converted. So with the transform message, using this output format, you can simply convert the data from one format to another format. It might be from the JSON to XML, XML to JSON, CSV to XML, anything you can do. In this video, I just explained about basic. The real time you might see the very complex Java objects, very complex JSON objects, very complex XML files and that. So if you learn basics, automatically you can work with any type of a file, but you have seen different things over here. It is simply conversion over here, and you can see here we used one function over here, And then if we see over here, we learned how we can, define metadata in the input and the output and convert the data, that kind of a things. And we are keeping this, the CSV mem type over here, different things we need to learn so that we can do the better coding in the database. So that's it for today. I'm going to explain about the translation, where I'm going to talk about each and every functions as well as how to access each and every element. Everything I'm going to discuss in my next video. Please follow this. Thank you for watching this video. That's it for today. Please like, share, subscribe, NetBook.